So I've been weighing up whether this iPhone XS Max is worth its very expensive price, or is it just for suckers? Let's talk about it. Want to upgrade that Windows Home to Windows Pro? Or just get killer prices on Windows, Office 2016 and cheap gaming keys? Head on down to 0 and 9. Make sure you copy and paste my code from the description to get a price that's going to make you go woo! And by the way, you're looking at the video from the iPhone 4K 30 frames per second. So confident I was that I was going to buy this phone that I paid for Apple Care already. I actually had the iPhone X, and there were a few things I didn't like about the iPhone X. One, the battery life wasn't very good. Face ID wasn't good. The screen's a little bit small. I do prefer the bigger screens. And when I saw the Huawei P20 and the camera it had, I just had to have it. And then there were small things that annoyed me, like iOS, not letting me put the icons where I want it. It's sort of a bit clunky in that way. So how am I going to tackle this? Is this worth the price? Is it for suckers? Well, I'm going to go through the pros and cons now, and I'm weighing up whether I'm going to keep it. And I truly have no idea whether I'm going to keep it at the moment, but I've just put a list down of pros and cons, whether it's really worth that price, or I'm just a sucker, or people are just a sucker if they buy these things. So I'll go through the pros first, and I won't hold back later ripping into it. Don't worry about that. But let's go through the things I like. The fluidity of the 120Hz touch. It is not a 120Hz display. I actually mentioned it had 120Hz touch sensitivity in last year's review of the iPhone X. Not many people ever mentioned that. It seems to be everybody's talking about it now. Maybe they should have actually dug a bit deeper last year. The best way I can describe using this without the home button is it's like using a Mac trackpad. It's that good. The touch sensitivity is so good, nothing compares to it. And I know Razer has like a 120Hz display, but I've used that, and yeah, the motion looks nice and smooth, but it just doesn't have that feel of the iPhone, the haptic feedback. Every Android phone, the first thing I do is turn off the haptic feedback. The Taptic engine in the iPhone is friggin' amazing. It is exactly like using a Mac trackpad. The feedback you get, super smooth responsiveness of the OS, especially now it doesn't have that clunky home button where you got to press it twice and it's really clunky. It's not. It's super fluid now, flick things around. It's just really good, except for the fact you still cannot move the icons. Other than that, it's just amazing to use. It feels like you're connected to it, you know what I mean? Like when I use an Android phone, because the haptic feedback is so rubbish, I can feel that I'm using a phone. With the iPhone and the Taptic engine and that touch sensitivity, it really does feel connected to me. And the great thing about iPhone or iOS is, usually with Samsung phones I've used in the past, and maybe better now, but after about 6 months and a few updates, they start to lag a bit. Whereas the iPhones, they stay like fluid for at least a few years. I know some of the old iPhones, their lag is hell, but I never noticed any slowdown when I've used iPhone for like less than a year. If you were just to compare the expense, the actual price, if you're talking about the top of the end, I think the iPhone is better valued in the Note. I'm not saying it has as many features as the Note, but I've seen the Note for like $800 US now already. Seen it come down to $1,300 in Australia. If you want to import it, the price is already tumbling of the Note 9. And yeah, you could say that's better value, but the thing is, the people that paid the full price, they've already lost a lot of the value of their phone, and that's just going to get greater as the months go on, especially once the S10 comes out or whatever it is. Whereas the iPhone is going to hold its value. So yeah, now there are a lot of mid-range phones that are, as good as these other phones, and they're a lot cheaper and they got more features. Yeah, that's true. But if we're talking about the absolute top tier flagships, Note 9, iPhone 10, you cannot deny the iPhone 10 is greater value, and it looks friggin' amazing. The iPhone XS Max in gold, it looks like an expensive piece of jewelry. Notes of Rolex, Daytona, in gold, or Oliver Peoples sunglasses. It just looks like it belongs in a jewelry store as an exquisite piece of like high-end jewelry. It really is that good. It looks amazing. And that's only the gold one, by the way. The other ones are finished nice, but nothing looks as expensive as this one. Display is friggin' awesome. Big display. It's HDR, Dolby, everything you want in a display. OLED display. It's one of the best displays you can get on a smartphone. The camera is really good. Alright, it can't compete to the P20 in terms of photography, but it's definitely one of the best cameras I've ever used, and especially for video. It is amazing the dynamic range you get at 4K 30 frames per second, and you're able to walk, and it's pretty steady, so that's really good. Battery life is amazing. It's like nearly as good as the P20, which has a 4000 milliamp hour battery. I have to say battery life is awesome, but there are a lot of phones that have battery life that's awesome. And just some of the tech that goes into it. You compare it to the Note 9, it has S Pen, it has this and that. But the thing is, if you actually look inside the iPhone has the best silicon on the market at the moment. It's the fastest, it's the best graphics, best CPU, the best HEVC encoders, 4x4 antenna. That's why it's not symmetrical on the bottom, because they had to add another 2 antenna points up the top and bottom. Has a 4x4 antenna setup, and the 4x4 MIMO as well. Now a lot of people are complaining they're having issues or whatever, but I guarantee that's just friggin' Intel. They take 100 years to update their crap, and if you've ever bought a new laptop, comes out with a new processor and you have flickering screen and graphic problems and all that, yeah, that's Intel. I'm pretty confident that will be fixed with firmware updates. Apple Care, you have Apple Care in Australia. It's the only phone you can get that has insurance for damage. Now you can get Samsung Care here, but it's not like Apple Care. You smash it, you walk into a Samsung store, they replace it or fix it or whatever. I know overseas some people have that with the Pixel and that, but in Australia I think Apple Care is awesome. You know, the speakers are awesome on this phone, one of the best speakers I've heard. The video it records, the stereo, the dual SIM, yeah, welcome to 2012. At least it has it now. Its water resistance is better, so you know you'll be confident that you'll be able to dip it in even the beach or something like that. They made better wireless charging. They had a more premium coil in it. It has 4 gigs of RAM, the best SoC, had the newest and best HEVC encoders on their silicon, and that's why you get that super smooth and great dynamic range 4K 30. Also the sound in the videos, the way it records in stereo now is friggin' awesome. Also has a new storage controller, and then you have all the privacy. You know, if you use a Google phone, yeah, what privacy you got? I mean, Google's business model is to use you as a cash cow, use your data as a cash cow. I do value my privacy, and with the iPhone you get the best privacy. So I guess there's a long list of pros there, but a lot of those things other phones will have, but you know, stuff like 4x4 antenna, the best processor, the best graphics, the touch sensitivity, you know, how expensive it looks, the premium materials, all that stuff is better than everybody else. So I guess you can say you paid a premium price, but you get premium quality parts. Everything is of the highest order, but yeah, it is still what, 2K here, 1500 in the US. It is friggin' expensive, so you would have thought they would include the quick charger and the headphones, but then when I think about it, I'd rather have the 4x4 antenna and the best silicon and stuff like that rather than have, you know, quick charging and stuff like that. That's more important to me. It is a heavy phone. It would have felt premium if it was lighter too. It's just the hard stainless steel, but it is one of the heaviest phones, and it is actually tiring to hold it up after a while. Face ID, oh my god, Face ID. Now it does improve over time, but I wear sunglasses, and the amount of times I've had to enter my PIN code, like you're going to get really fast at it. You're going to get a workout lifting your arm up and down trying to make it work. I mean, yeah, you can include that as value, you know. It's free gym and it's free password training there, but it's still slow. It's faster than last year, but man, this is one of the biggest points of me not keeping this phone. If I don't keep it, I think this will be the deal breaker there. So we'll see what happens there, but no split screen. How can a screen this big on the XS Max not have split screen? That's one thing I'm really going to miss. I'm going to hate the Face ID. I'm going to miss the split screen. The frame of the gold model, it tarnishes up really quickly. Yes, you can polish it up and it looks as good as new, but that detracts from its really nice expensive look. And the fact that you can get much more affordable phones with more features that are fantastic. I mean, they're not quite the quality in terms of the SoC, you know, touch sensitivity and build quality, etc. But they're most of the way there, and the camera's nearly there. And yeah, if you want to save yourself a heap of money, you can. So my overall conclusion is it for suckers? No, I don't think it's for suckers. I think there's some value in there compared to its main competitor that's pretty much priced the same. It has some better silicon. I've told you about all those premium parts it has in there that no one else can match in this regard, and it's going to hold its value. So if you're comparing it to the top end, it is value. If you're comparing it to the upper mid-range or the mid-range, it's not value. If you're just going to do it based on features, but they don't have the quality of this iPhone. So I don't think it's for suckers. I think it's a damn good product. I still don't know if I'm going to keep it. I genuinely thought I would, but that Face ID, I can't handle it. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the footage here, and I'll catch you in the next one. Tally ho.